Hello and welcome to The Mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and today we are going to talk viticulture and fan-created submissions. But before we get to that, Wednesday on the Facebook live stream, Jamie announced that Scythe Encounters was the surprise announcement. The not-so-surprise announcement? We kind of knew that was what it would be, or thought that's what it would be. He announced that it has a $20 MSRP. It is available right now in the Stonemaier shop, and Stonemaier Champions can get it in advance of the December 9th street date. Jamie went ahead and air freighted 1,900 copies, or one pallet of the promos, into St. Louis, and those are going to be going out very soon. So if you haven't already put in your pre-order, get to it, or you'll be waiting for the street date. Speaking of Scythe, Jamie put a request on the official Facebook board asking for feedback on a fan submission of bonus tiles. I will go ahead and put a link to that in the show notes. There's tiles that have like build your structures in a Y formation. There was a couple of others. I think it might have even been a variation of the variation where somebody said, well, let's go ahead and provide bonuses for building around the factory. If you get a chance to check those out, go ahead and leave your comments in either the Facebook thread or on the BGG thread. Today's episode is going to focus on viticulture. I'm sure a lot of you watching this are familiar with viticulture, but I'm just going to do a real quick brief overview. Viticulture, in my opinion, is probably one of Stonemaier Games' best games in terms of the theme really just carrying across all aspects. You are a fledgling vineyard. You inherited a vineyard and you want to grow it to be the best vineyard. The gameplay plays out by, like, if you were to ask somebody how the winemaking process goes, they would probably describe it in these steps. You have a vineyard and you plant vines, and you have workers harvest vines, and sometimes you need special structures in terms of places to hang vines and irrigation, and maybe you have a wine tour in your vineyard. Maybe you harvest those grapes, and you have white grapes and you have red grapes, and there's different wine types, and you have crush pads and the grapes get crushed, and the grapes you can age them and you can sell the grapes to other vineyards, or you can use those grapes to make wines, and there's white wines and red wines and blush wines and sparkling wines, and all of this stuff is a part of viticulture, and it's done so well because, you know, I mentioned the vines. I mean, here's an example of the vine card, and I'll put one up here too. You have visitors, and you have, you know, visitors in different seasons, and I may have even put those upside down. It's just really thematic, and the theme carries through it all. It feels really natural, even if you're not a gamer, you're not using lingo that doesn't make sense or anything like that. It's all very intuitive, and so that is just my way of introducing a fan submission called Viticulture Dice, and Viticulture Dice was done by Dave Armstrong. It is surprisingly true to viticulture, although it uses dice instead of cards. And this is actually 2 score sheets, and again, I'll put it up here, and I'm probably going to break out a little video here, but it's really clever. Instead of doing worker placement action, you do dice placement, or it's not really dice placement, but you roll dice and there's a dice pool. So depending on how many people are playing the game, you'll throw a certain number of dice and then you'll put them in the different areas of the dice tray, and that's what that dice tray looks like. Again, I will post a picture up here, but depending on the value of the dice is what actions you perform on your little roll and write sheet. You can roll a 1 and plant a vine, roll a 2 and you plant a 2 value vine. A number 3 is a $2 tour, a 4 is a harvest 1 field, 5 is sell 1 field or 2 grapes and make 2 wine. That's what's really clever about this system is you're doing all the same things that you do in viticulture. You are still, if you pick a dice to plant a grape, it doesn't say whether it's white or red, that's your choice. The fields, just like in regular viticulture, are worth a set amount. You can only have so much value in your field unless you have other supporting structures that will allow you to house more vines or to increase the value of those plots. You can sell the plots like you can in viticulture. You still have spots to check off for building, your wine tasting room or your mill, and you basically, you still are working towards a victory point. You still have wine cards or wine orders to fulfill, and how this works the visitors in is if you fulfill a wine order, you have an option to use a visitor card, and you can only use one visitor card per wine order filled, and those visitors are only good for one-time use unless you've built something else that enables you to use them a second time. It's really clever. It uses all the same mechanics that viticulture, started, and carries it into this really cool dice game. And just like I keep remembering all the different aspects that carry over. Like, there's ways on this score sheet to denote how the grapes age over time. There is the possibility to take 2 dice to make it any one action, so you aren't necessarily beholden to the dice roll. I think it is a lot of fun to play. It plays pretty quick. I think I got through a game just testing it out in about 30 minutes, and I really do feel as if I could get through it much quicker if I, with repeated plays. But what surprised me is, despite having a different mechanic, you're not doing worker placement, you're doing dice, it feels so much like viticulture, and I think that is just the greatest compliment you can pay to this game created by a fan, is just it legitimately feels like viticulture. I am going to go ahead and add a link in the show notes, and it is a private Facebook group, but go ahead and submit a request, and Dave will admit you as soon as he can. I know that he's a little bit busy right now with stuff going on in real life, but just be patient, and it's well worth the wait. The next fan submission I have for you is for those of you who are viticulturists who are not really into Scythe, but you are jealous of the Scythe Rise of Fenris campaign. Steven St. John is looking out for you. He created a viticulture campaign that is really well done. It looks like this. I'll go ahead and put a close-up over here and also give you a link to it in the show notes. You use it with the Automa. It is a solo campaign. There's multiple difficulty levels. Very easy, normal, hard, very hard. There on the BGG forum where he rolled this out, there are rules for doing a regular campaign, a short campaign, a mega campaign, which involves several playthroughs of this campaign. But I guess, I don't know if I'd say it's cute, but what I thought was super interesting was each one of these games, he gave a name that is like a descriptor of wine. I'm not a wine person, but the first game is called Lively and Lush, and the second game is Hearty with Legs, and the third one is Rich and Robust, and you have Bright and Chewy, and Delicate with Depth, and Burnt and Bitter, and Austere, and Harsh and Dry, and Nutty, and each different campaign game has a different rule set. There's a little something different you do. If you're wanting to add difficulty, there's different, the Automa starts at different victory point levels. It's really well done. I am actually looking forward to breaking this out and playing a few games, and just to dust off the Viticulture Automa that I haven't played in a little bit. But this is enough to get me to come rushing. Well, this in Viticulture Dice, I am feeling that want for some viticulture in my life. The 4 viticulture wine glasses are in stock again on the Stonemeyer shop, and I grabbed a 4-pack, and they are supposed to be here Friday, Saturday, and I'm probably going to pour myself a glass of wine or beer and play a couple of games of the viticulture campaign. What you guys don't know is my wife is behind the camera and did not know about that purchase, so I'm getting the evil eye. But if I pour her some wine, she'll be fine with the glasses too. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Like and subscribe. If you want to know when new episodes air, hit that bell. As always, we welcome comments, suggestions, what you want to see on the show, just leave them right there in the comments. If you have any questions or anything about what came up, you want to know the play experience of Viticulture Dice or how my campaign goes, or whether my wife will forgive me for buying those Viticulture wine glasses, just leave them down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.